This week, week 6, our homework is really just a practice homework. You don't have to do it, but I'm a big believer in working homework problems. When I learned accounting, I would work the homework problems over until I really knew it really well. So that's why I give them to you. And so this homework problem this week is not actually for a grade, but I think it would be helpful to work it and understand how it's used. Even though really the only graded item this week is a quiz. All right. So the first problem in your practice homework, not for any points, but the first problem is equivalent to problem 11-21 from page 530 in your book. And so it's a return on investment and residual income problem. And you'll, of course, have that in Connect to do if you want to. It's totally optional. So I'm going to go out to Connect and show you how to work the problem. So I need to share my screen with you. Looks like we're sharing. Okay. So this is the problem. This is the exact problem you have. So we'll just go through it together, and hopefully you'll understand it pretty well. So in this problem, we have a guy, Dell, and he's trying to figure out if he wants to add this new product line. All right, so they evaluate the divisions based on return on investment. And so here's the results so far, right? So in other words, we'll calculate the return on the investments, and this is what they've got going on right now. So this is what they got. But they do have this opportunity to add something else. So if they spend $1 million, right, they're going to get these sales, this variable expenses, and this fixed expenses. So this guy, Dell, who's the manager, he gets a bonus based on highest ROI, right? So he wants to know, what is the ROI on this new thing? All right, so he doesn't want it impacting his ROI, in other words. The company itself has an overall ROI of 15% across all the divisions. All right, so would the company want to do this? Would the department want to do it? So that's what we're going to figure out. So what we're going to do is figure out this one division, right? Dell, who's the manager of the office products division, right? Should that one division do this or not? All right. So to calculate ROI, right, we need to first get the margin and the turnover, right? So well, we have this right here, right? Here's the margin, and we just divide these numbers to get our turnover and ROI. So we can calculate that pretty easy for what we've got going on right now for the current year. All right, and then we need to calculate for the new product line all by itself. So I need to do basically this, but for, I guess it's a machine or something that costs $1 million. So there's my expenses, my investment, I guess I would call it. My operating assets, I guess is what we would call it, operating asset for just this one new thing, right? Here's my asset. Here's my sales. Here's my variable. So it's just 60% of that. And then I can use these two to calculate my contribution margin, then my fixed expenses, and I can get my operating income. So, and then my average operating assets for this one thing I'm doing is $1 million. All right. And then compute the new for next year, assuming it performs the same and adds, and you add. So now I'm gonna, so this is this year. We'll do just the new product line by itself, and then we'll take this year plus the new product line and see what the next year would be. All right, so we're basically going to calculate ROI 3 times. And so we'll just do that. So I've got a little notepad set up here to help me do that. All right, so we're going to do a column for this year, a column for just the new line, right? Our $1 million machine that we're going to use to make something new. And then next year, where I'm kind of adding these two together. All right, so for sales this year, we know it's 10 million. And for net operating income, I guess I should put $1 there. We also know that that is 800,000, right? So assets, they tell us, right? Here's the division, just this division where Dell's the supervisor. That division has operating assets of 4 million. Okay, so now I can calculate my margin and I can calculate my turnover, and then I can calculate my ROI. So this margin isn't the contribution margin. It's what we call a profit margin. So I think in your book they just call it margin. So contribution margin, we've learned all along, right? Sales revenue minus variable expenses equals contribution margin, or what the sales is contributing to our fixed assets, to our fixed expenses, right? So it's contributing 4 million to cover 3.2 million, right? So contribution margin is not what we're calculating. We already know that. We already know the contribution margin is 4 million. All right, so we're calculating our margin now, which is net operating income divided by our sales. So 800,000 divided by 10 million is equal to 0.08 or 8%, right? Okay, so then turnover, so we take this 10 million, right, our sales, and divide it by, so this is asset turnover, this is profit margin, this is asset turnover. There's a lot of kinds of turnovers, I know. This is my asset turnover. So taking the sales, dividing it by the assets, I get a number of 2.5. Pretty good turnover. And my ROI is 8% times 2.5. So 0.08 times 2.5 is equal to 0.2 or 20%. Right. So yeah, that's a pretty good ROI they've got going on there. So, gosh, let's see, what is the new line going to do for us, right? Because the overall company's ROI is only 15. All right, so yeah, so the new line, the sales they tell us are going to be, they're going to sell 2 million. Okay. And the net operating income, we're going to have to calculate that, right? Because all I've got is sales and variable expenses and fixed expenses. Oh, well, I already did that. Okay. Here's my sales, 2 million. My variable expenses, they told us was 60% of sales, so 0.6 times 2 million is 1.2 million. So 2 million minus 1,200,000 is equal to 800,000. And the fixed expenses, they just told us, fixed expenses are 640. So minus 640. So my net operating income for just that new product line is 160,000. So 160, comma 000. All right, so there we go. So 2 million leaves us, when we subtract out all our expenses, we're going to end up with net operating income of 160,000. So my operating assets are $1 million for just that thing, right? I mean, obviously, when we add this, we'll have 5 million in operating assets, but right now we're focusing on just the new thing. Okay, so now we're going to calculate our new margin. So 160,000 divided by 2 million is also 8%. All right. Ooh, that key got stuck. Okay. And our turnover, which is sales divided by operating assets, 2 million divided by 1 million is 2. All right, so I can already tell by looking at this that that's going to be a smaller number, right? 8 times 2 is smaller than 8 times 2.5. And in fact, 8 times 2 is 16. Right, so the ROI for the new line by itself is 16%. Okay. So doing nothing, they're just doing it this year. They got 20% ROI, very good ROI. They add this new line, and that new line on its own is 16. So what happens when you add them together? What do you get? Well, obviously, 10 million plus 2 million is 12 million. 800 plus 160,000 is 960,000. Right? And 4 million plus 1 million is, I think I already mentioned that, 5 million. And so then our new margin, right? So if we were to take net operating income of 960, divide it by our sales of 12 million, and of course it's going to stay 8%. I don't know why I even thought about that. Obviously, if it was 8%, it's 8%. It's going to stay 8%. So that means my turnover then is sales, my asset turnover. I guess I wish I'd put that label there. Asset turnover, sales divided by my assets. So 12 million divided by 5 million is equal to 2.4, right? So 8 times 2.4 is equal to 19.2%. All right, so what we've done here, and this was just an intermediate step. All this here is just to calculate the net operating income of just the new line. So what we've calculated what the question asks for, right? It says compute margin, turnover, and ROI for this year. Margin, turnover, and ROI for the new product by itself, and margin, turnover, and ROI for next year, assuming everything's the same, and just add them. All right, so we've got. So the thing, I guess the question is only asking you to fill in the ROIs because it knows you had to calculate margin and turnover to get ROI. So 20% for this year. It was 16, right? 16% for the thing all by itself. And it was what, 19.2 for the next year. So gosh, that's a little disappointing for this division, right? This here division wants to get their year-end bonus, right? They want to have the highest ROI. So they want it high as they possibly can get. And for this division, the highest ROI is if they just don't add that product. All right. So you got this product that's adding a pretty good ROI. It's adding 16% by itself. I mean, I don't know what else you can invest in that gets more than that, but they're not going to want to do it because what they're already doing is making 20%, right? So if I go on to question 4, that's just exactly what this is about. If you were in Del Havasi's position, would you accept or reject the new product line? Well, if I was that guy and it was going to lower my ROI, right? 0.8 divided by 20 by 4%. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's something. If it's going to lower my ROI, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to reject it, right? I mean, it's going to cost me my bonus. So Dell is going to say, no, I don't want to do that. All right. Now, why do you suppose headquarters would want to add the new product line? So this new product line, if you'll recall, let's see here, is going to add is 16% by itself. It's 16%. And the company is at 15, right? So this will increase the company's ROI overall. Okay, so the company, so Dell himself in his division doesn't want to do it because it'll lower his division ROI. But the company, taking in all 5 of their divisions at 15%, want to add this because it will increase the overall ROI. So this is a very good example of people will do what you pay them to do. This manager is being paid to get the highest ROI possible, right? Not add to the company's ROI. All right, so they need to pay these people slightly differently because he's going to turn this down, and the company could have increased the company's overall ROI with this project. So it should be done. So they need to work out something so either it doesn't affect his bonus or people start getting paid on increasing the overall ROI or something like that, or just not use ROI. Okay, so there you go. That's problem 1 from chapter 11, the first 5 requirements. So I'm going to stop here and then we can do these last 2 requirements on the next video. See you there.